It's the most dangerous material ever created by human hands. It doesn't exist in nature. Every single gram of it on this planet had to be manufactured, forged inside a nuclear reactor through one of the most extraordinary transformations in all of science. A sphere the size of a grapefruit can level an entire city in a fraction of a second. And yet that same material is what powered Voyager 1 as it crossed into interstellar space, and what keeps the Curiosity rover alive on the surface of Mars right now, as you watch this. Today we're going inside the most secure nuclear facilities on Earth to answer one question. How is plutonium actually made? Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover will completely change the way you think about the most powerful and terrifying element ever created by humanity. Right here on Stories Behind Everything. Uranium and plutonium are often mentioned in the same breath, but they are fundamentally different materials with very different stories. Uranium occurs naturally in the Earth's crust. Plutonium, on the other hand, barely exists in nature at all. It has to be created. Every single gram of plutonium on this planet was manufactured inside a nuclear reactor, making it one of the few truly man-made elements in existence. It was first discovered in 1941 by Glenn Seaborg and his team at the University of California, Berkeley, who produced it by bombarding uranium-238 with neutrons in a cyclotron. What they created would go on to change the course of human history, for better and for worse. This is where the real story begins. When uranium-238 fuel rods are loaded into the core of a nuclear reactor and bombarded with neutrons over a period of several weeks, something extraordinary happens at the atomic level, a process called nuclear transmutation. The uranium atoms don't simply split. They absorb neutrons and gradually mutate, atom by atom, into an entirely different element, plutonium-239. It's one of the most powerful transformations in nature, invisible to the naked eye, yet capable of reshaping the world. To put it in perspective, a single gram of plutonium produced at this stage can release more energy than several tons of coal or oil. But this conversion is anything but routine. Any deviation, however small, could trigger a nuclear incident. That's why the process is monitored around the clock by automated sensors, steel shielding, and highly specialized personnel who never take their eyes off the reactor core. Once the fuel rods are extracted from the reactor, they are, quite literally, glowing. After weeks of neutron bombardment, they contain a volatile mixture of uranium, plutonium, and intensely radioactive byproducts. At this stage, direct contact would be instantly fatal. The rods are immediately transferred using remote-controlled systems into enormous cooling pools with reinforced concrete walls over 6 feet thick. There, submerged under more than 16 feet of ultra-pure water, they remain for several months. But this isn't just a cooling bath. It's a critical stage known as radioactive decay, where the material gradually releases the accumulated radiation, slowly becoming stable enough to handle. The water glows a faint blue during this process, a phenomenon called Cherenkov radiation, one of the most haunting and beautiful sights in all of nuclear science. Only when every parameter is fully stabilized is extraction from the pool authorized, and then begins the most dangerous stage of the entire process. The irradiated rods, now cooled and stabilized, enter an automated cutting system that slices them into small metallic segments. These fragments are then dissolved in concentrated nitric acid at temperatures exceeding 212 degrees Fahrenheit, producing a thick, intensely radioactive liquid that is quite literally the most dangerous solution on Earth. It contains uranium, plutonium, and a cocktail of unstable radioactive waste products, all mixed together. Separating them requires one of the most sophisticated chemical processes ever developed, known as PUREX, which stands for Plutonium-Uranium Reduction Extraction. Special chemical solvents are introduced that selectively bind to plutonium atoms, pulling them out of the mixture one atom at a time, while leaving the uranium and radioactive waste behind. Think of it like panning for gold in a river of toxic waste. Except this gold can power a city or destroy one. The plutonium that emerges from this process isn't the glowing green liquid of science fiction. It's a dense, yellowish liquid, and so intensely radioactive that a few seconds of skin contact would be fatal. In its liquid state, plutonium is dangerously unstable. Minimal exposure to air could trigger an immediate nuclear emergency. So the next step is to convert it into a safer, more manageable solid form: plutonium oxide. Everything happens inside hermetically sealed, lead-lined laboratories where technicians call this stage the atomic bake. The liquid plutonium is dried at extreme temperatures, condensed, and gradually transformed into a dark powder that resembles volcanic ash. Once stabilized, that powder is fed into high-precision industrial presses that compress it into small cylindrical pellets, roughly the size of a coin. These pellets, dense, compact, and extraordinarily lethal, are now the finished form of plutonium. And what happens to them next depends on a decision that carries the weight of the entire world. This is the most consequential fork in the road in all of science. The same pellets, identical in appearance, can take one of three completely different paths depending on who controls them and what they're needed for. The first path leads to civilian nuclear reactors, where plutonium serves as high-yield fuel capable of generating clean electricity for hospitals, cities, and entire industries for decades. The second path leads to deep space. Plutonium-238, a slightly different isotope, is the fuel of choice for missions where sunlight is too weak to power solar panels. A generator containing just 10 pounds of plutonium-238 can produce enough electricity to keep a spacecraft's scientific instruments running for 15 years or more. It has powered some of humanity's most iconic missions: Voyager 1 and 2, Cassini, Curiosity, and Perseverance, sending data back from the darkest corners of the solar system. The third path is the darkest. Pellets selected for military purposes are transported in ultra-secret convoys escorted by special forces to classified government facilities, where they're refined and converted into the active core of nuclear warheads. Only 9 countries in the world possess enough military-grade plutonium to build nuclear weapons. Among them, the United States, Russia, and China. And it's precisely these countries that hold the balance of global power. Because plutonium isn't just a material, it's a declaration of absolute power. Something capable of lighting up a planet or erasing it from the map in seconds. After seeing all of this, one deeply uncomfortable question remains. Is plutonium an indispensable scientific achievement, or a human mistake we can no longer control? Some will say it's the price of progress. Others that it's a material that should never have been created. The same element that powers a rover exploring Mars also sits inside warheads capable of ending civilization. That contradiction between exploration and destruction, between progress and peril, is perhaps the defining tension of the nuclear age. Where do you stand? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this episode, drop a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you never miss a new upload.